This is I'm not quite sure how many now we've done of these monthly calls to foster a global happiness and well-being movement at a grassroots level. These calls originated from a meeting that was held at the United Nations in April of last year, where the Prime Minister of Bhutan and the Secretary General of the United Nations brought together a group of about 850 high-level politicians, academics, as well as grassroots activists such as Mario and myself. We met for the first day with many, many talks given by many, many officials in the launching of the World Happiness Report by Columbia University, and that was followed by 2 days of working groups where we talked amongst ourselves about how to launch that global happiness and well-being movement at a grassroots level. And then we're charged with that task by the Prime Minister of Bhutan. Mario was one of the people there, and he charmed everybody because of the work that he's doing and who he is. So I'm very excited to have this webinar. These are recorded, and we put the recordings up on Basecamp, and anybody can join Basecamp. So if you'd like a recording of this talk, or to get the slides for this talk, or to be able to listen to any other talks, you'll get those up on Basecamp. And we also let people know about other talks on Basecamp. If you do join that Basecamp, you'll also be joining the community of those grassroots activists, about 140 of us who are communicating with each other and are having every other week calls, so twice a month calls to network and to support each other in the work that we're doing for greater happiness and well-being at an individual, local, and national and global level. So I'm going to go ahead and change presenters now. I'm going to make Mario the presenter. Before I do, real quick, I just wanted to show you the talks are here on Happy Counts. That's where you can find them for without being a member of Basecamp. Our next talk will be March 20th, which is International Happiness Day as declared by the United Nations. And John DeGraff and I will be speaking. John and I started the Happiness Initiative, and John just got back from Bhutan, where he was one of 20 experts to advise the government and then met with the king and queen. So I think we might change that talk to a report on his work on Bhutan. And then April 25th, we're going to have Richard Heinberg, who is the guy who essentially came up with the idea of peak oil. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to try to change that to April 22nd because that is Earth Day. And then one last thing is that we at the Happiness Initiative will be having an International Happiness Day celebration on March 20th. And so if you are in Seattle or have friends in Seattle, please let them know about that. So now here's the Happy Post Project website, and I'm going to go ahead and change presenters and give this to Mario. And while I do, I want to let you know a little bit about the logistics of these calls. So if you have a question or a comment, please put that question or comment in your control panel, or you can raise your hand in your control panel. These calls are recorded, so you will have access to them, and you'll be recorded as well. So let's see, Mario, if you can go ahead and take control of the presentation, then we'll go ahead and get started. Mario, which country are you in right now? You've muted yourself a little bit, so. Oh, there you go. Where are you right now, Mario?
Hello. I just arrived to New York City this morning.
Great. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, Mario, you are in Colombia. He just back to New York City, and has been working on this wonderful project called the Happy Post Project. That is emerging into the Make It Happy Foundation. So, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, Mario, and if you'd go ahead and speak loudly and slowly, that would be great. Just it's a little hard to hear you. Go ahead, Mario. We can talk about for
Hey, it's
40
Laura.
minutes.
Thank you so much. I am very excited to be here today. Well, first of all, I would like to wish you a happy Valentine's to all of the members, all the attendees. And I think love is one of the main reasons because we are here, and because I work in happiness, because I truly believe that when you spread happiness, you spread love, and when you spread love, you spread happiness. And basically, I understand love as as when you care from somebody else. So, for instance, if you love your mother, if she's happy, you're happier. If she's sad, you're sad. So basically, love is the extension from one being to another being. So that's why I believe when you spread happiness, you spread love. And happy Valentine's Day. Um, so let me just address you about my presentation of today. First, I'm going to give you to tell you a story. My first part is a story about how I ended up working in happiness and how I ended up being a social entrepreneur. Secondly, I will mention about how this project have been emerged from being only an initiative to a foundation and how it has been funded. And lastly, I'll just share my conclusions. So, my name is Mario. As Laura was saying, I am from Colombia. He used to tell me that if I was able to whistle every day before going to work, that was a very good sign for happiness. So I follow his instructions. It's called Pasto. We are based in the south of Colombia, and a lot of amazing things happen in this country. For instance, this is my hometown. We are based in next to an active volcano. Was that I got one of the worst SATs. Actually, yes, I got the worst SAT of my city. And when that happens, your professors and your family tells you that your future is to take care of these ladies. So, and for a more that I love these ladies, I thought that my future was something different. So I moved to Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia. And in Bogota, I put myself into college, and I ended up working as a volunteer on one presidential campaign of this guy that you see over there. His name was Álvaro Uribe Vélez. When I started working with him, only the 3% of the country knew who he was. And I worked as a volunteer for him for 2 years, mobilizing young people, mobilizing all the youth. And he ended up being elected as president, and he was reelected. And so far, he has been one of the most successful presidents over the past 100 years. In 2004, it was my birthday, number 24. And I do remember that I woke up one day and I say, well, how can it be possible that I haven't lived in a different country? And in less than 3 months, I moved to Boston with no English, with no money, and no friends, but a great attitude. In Boston, I had this dream about studying in a good school. So my dream was to study at Columbia University. Everybody was telling me that that wasn't possible because I barely speak English and because I didn't have money. But I was able to apply to get a fellowship and everything to get into the school. In fact, I ended up being the president of my faculty, and I ended up giving like the commencement speech in front of 4,000 people and sharing the stage with Shirin Ebadi, which is the Nobel Peace Prize. After my master's at Columbia, I fell in love with the energy markets. So I ended up working for the New York Stock Exchange and then doing a lot of investment banking. So life was good. In fact, you can see like this little pool that we used to have outside of my apartment that during summertime was really good. So life was very good until the financial crisis struck the world. So when that happened, I ended up losing my job. My girlfriend at the time also left me, and I also ended up being a homeless because I was 5 months without being paid, and 5 months without being paying apartment and student loans in Manhattan was something not very sustainable. So when that happened, everything was going wrong until I saw the light. When I saw the light, I remember the wise words of my mother. She used to tell me when I was a kid that the darkest hour or the darkest time during the day is just right before the dawn. When that happened, I found a job in Boston, but I ended up in a job from 8 to 5, and actually I wasn't happy again until one day in a magical place, which I wish was this magical place, but my magical place looks more like this one. My magical place was a Chinese bus from New York City to Boston, where I had my aha moment. And my aha moment, I was in two books, and those two books had two questions that changed my life. The first one was, what is your superpower? What is your gift? Everybody has a gift. Everybody has something to give. So the question was simple, but also was very complex. So what is your gift? And the second question was even more. So I started thinking. And when I was thinking, I realized that I was able to change the world.
Mario?
And then I created this theory called tourist attitude. Yes?
Oh, could you repeat
Yes, Laura?
yeah, could you repeat the second question? And just, I'm sorry to ask you to do this, but could you turn the volume down just a little bit because we're getting a little bit of feedback?
Sure. It is better there?
Yeah, and then repeat the second
Okay.
question because we didn't get it. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself again.
Sounds great. So the first question was, what is your gift? What is your superpower? And the second question was, what are you doing with your superpower to make the world better? So it was even more complex. And then I started thinking, and when I started thinking, I realized that I was able to change the world. And I came up with this theory called a tourist attitude. Tourist attitude is basically the state of mind that we have when we visit new places. For instance, every time that we go to any city that we always dream to be with, uh, we behave different. We are more aware of the here and now. We are more curious. We are more aware. We take more risks. So basically, we behave different. So my theory or my hypothesis was that we can activate that state of mind anytime in life. And in order to do so, I created a website and I challenged myself to interview 30 people in 30 days with a video camera and to challenge them to use this state of mind. Besides that, I went to MIT to do some research with neuroscientists, and we realized that that chemically there was some things happening in our brain that were different when we were in new places in comparison with we were in our normal place. Um, and finally, I started doing experiments in my own life to see if that theory had makes sense. So my first experiment was I wanted to sing in front of a lot of people, so I ended up singing in front of 10,000 people in Philadelphia. Then I wanted to write for a newspaper, and I ended up writing for the largest newspaper in Colombia. And a couple of my articles were made it up into like the first page and were some of the most popular articles that day. Then I wanted to do a triathlon. I did 2 triathlons and so forth. So always about like this state of mind that I ended up adopting in my life and became a philosopher. And from the community, for instance, this guy on the left, his name is Tommy. He used his tourist attitude and ended up working on his dream job. The guy in the middle, Herman, he quit his job and start creating a movement that as of today has more than 4,000 members in Bogota, and all what they do is basically to create solutions for the city. And the last one is a musician that also he start using his tourist attitude every time that he goes to a stage. and every time that he goes to teach. And from that, he had been gather like a larger audiences and more approach, a better approach. So in a nutshell, everything goes going well. But the main thing that I learned from tourist attitude was that happiness can make things better. And from here, I start thinking on having happiness, using happiness to make the world better, to solve the second question about how can I use my gift to make the world better. So as one of the experiments from tourist attitude, the Happy Post project was born. Basically, we were in this restaurant in Boston, and when I walked into this restaurant, I saw the people were very, very disconnected. So I asked a friend of mine, what do you think makes these people happy? And she said, Mario, you always have Post-its and Sharpies. Why you don't go and ask them what makes them happy? And I say, okay, I'll do it. So I took a bunch of, I couldn't find Post-its, but I find napkins, and I started asking people to draw or to write anything that makes them happy on the napkin. The reaction was incredible. People started having conversations about happiness, and the whole atmosphere of the restaurant changed. That day, my friend challenged me to collect 100,000 of these messages and to create art exhibitions. It was a very simple experiment. It was to go with Post-its to the streets and ask people what makes them happy. The process was simple. You took Post-its, you go to the streets, ask people on a grassroots level, you take pictures of people with their message, then we put it on a website, and finally we created art installations. Soon, we started finding out that actions of, this is a simple theory that I have, which is I believe that actions of every single human being has two components. The first one is principles, and the second one is beliefs. So if you really want to affect an action, you need to affect either principles or beliefs. Principles is something that is really inside you and is hard to question. So the most feasible way to affect actions was to affect beliefs. For instance, if you believe that by having 8 glasses of water you'll be skinnier, your action is to drink 8 glasses of water. If you believe that if you have an iPad you'll be a cool person, your action is to buy an iPad. So we wanted to affect beliefs from the Happy Post to affect actions, and hopefully to convert happiness as a principle on people's minds.
Hey Mario, this is Laura. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Are you playing a video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The webinar thing is too slow for the video, so what we can do is we can put the link into the Basecamp. But oftentimes we can't.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't hear the
Sorry.
video.
So I will see the
Yeah.
video. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about it.
Oh, no worries.
I'll send the link and I'll put some of our videos on the link.
Beautiful.
So, going back to my story about Happy Post, so here were some of the early results. We started creating exhibitions. Our first exhibition was in Boston. We collected more than 2,000 Happy Posts, and people start attending. There was a massive attendance of 600 people. Then we created an exhibition in Soho in New York where we collected positive messages for the victims of the tsunami in Japan. And when that happened, the mayor of Tokyo took that exhibition and put it on the largest subway station in Tokyo, which is called Ikebukuro. We have been also visiting universities and also like doing any other multiple exhibitions. For instance, this one was in Tokyo. That was, as I was saying, based in the largest subway station. It was there during 7 days. Also, we have been doing this exercise not only in galleries, but also on the street. So we have been doing this in the slums and the streets and universities and different places. And from here, we start getting a lot of like media attention. Also, we have been participating in different TEDx events. This was in a slump in Cartagena, that was in a slump in Nairobi, in Kenya. And from all these exhibitions and all this work, we start having PR and media. So we have been featured in all this media, from CNN to Univision to El País to MIT Radio and to local news in Japan. When we measure our media impact, we realize that we have more than 26 million media impacts with a budget of 0. Then also we have community in more than 22 countries, and we have created more than 18 exhibitions. This picture was taken in the largest slum in Cali, which Laura also visited us with us. It's called Agua Blanca. And after all these experiments, and after all this media attention, I was able to land my first financial sponsor, which is an advertising agency in New York City, where I'm based right now. And in 2012, they gave me a sort of a scholarship, which was based on my salary and my visa. So then in 2012, I was able to participate at the UN meeting where I met Laura, also to give a talk in Chris Anderson. Also, we are about to launch our first book, which we did with a famous photographer here in New York. And also we have been throwing art exhibitions with curators from the Guggenheim. The most important part is that we have been empowering our community. So every single of our members, right now we're in 30 countries right now, and every single community member start doing their own initiatives. We have been also been working with MIT, developing different things. The community of videographers also is huge. We have a lot of videos on the web. We have also started like some campaigns such as I Happy Post New York, and also celebrities such as the president of Colombia, Juan Manuel Santos, have been tweeting about our initiatives, and not only tweeting, but also he gave a speech about our initiative, and he invited us to his house in our in one of our trips to Colombia. Also, other celebrities such as soccer celebrities and so forth. So what we have learned during all this trip from Happy Post, we have learned that happiness is contagious. The kid that you see on the right is from Uganda. He learned about our project to one of his professors, and he did a Happy Post with his peers, and suddenly he started spreading all the happiness, not only in his classrooms, but also his father also sent us a very nice email afterwards, because he started doing that in all his region. The second lesson is that happiness empowers. So when people are happy, people are empowered. Then we learned that happiness is a cure. I personally went into a cancer diagnosis, and again, I started doing different experiments such as Happy Post in the hospital. And after talking to a lot of doctors and doing some research, I realized that definitely happiness was a very key to help people to cure. The last one is happiness is key for social change, and right now we are standing for that. So happiness can modify behaviors and can be a key for social change, and from that we're working with governments and companies right now. And the last part is happiness is in our side, we use happiness to create sustainability for our ideas. So we have emerged into the Make It Happy Foundation, which is going to be launched March 20. And as of now, there are 4 full-time people working on the Make It Happy Foundation. 2 persons are paid by my initial sponsors, and the other 2 are people who came from Amsterdam and Paris to contribute during 7 months to work with us. What is all goal. Our goal is to modify behaviors, to help modify behaviors, to convert happiness as a principle. Our goal is that every single day, people will ask to themselves what makes them happy. And from here, people can start taking actions to work into their happiness. And from there, they can create positive environments around them. How are we doing this? The first one is a movement. Right now, we are inspiring social entrepreneurs from the Make It Happy Foundation. So we are creating different gatherings right now to reunite our community of happy posters in 30 countries. We want to give them tools to spread happiness into their own cities or their own universities. The second one and third one is initiatives. We have been working in other similar initiatives similar than Happy Post. We have been creating websites, so we are constantly creating content that can have our community engaged. The two last ones are the profitable ones. As of now, our client is Univision, which is the largest Hispanic network, and finally, from the corporate side, we start giving starting, but it's
Laura, this is Laura. We're having a little bit of sound
our
problems.
little
Mario,
presentation about where all
okay.
this.
Mario, this is Laura. We're having
Hello.
some, yeah, this is Laura. We're having some feedback issues. So I'm wondering if you can, it might be that turn the volume down a little bit more. I don't know how far do you have your volume turned down? I'm not sure. Okay, can you talk a little bit?
Okay, here I don't have any volume, so I cannot hear you.
Okay. All right, we'll turn your volume back up. If it's something else, then if you just speak slowly, I'm not sure why there's some feedback, and it might be because of the background noise. So if there's any way to cut the background noise, that would be great. But go ahead and if you could back up a little bit and talk from the point of initiatives, that would be great.
Okay, I hope you guys can hear me better now.
Yes.
We want to cut here. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you better, but your screen
Okay.
is, yeah.
So from initiatives.
I'm sorry, Mary, your screen has gone to your Firefox. So if you could put the presentation back up, that'd be great.
It's back on right now. Probably you will get it in 10 seconds, but it's on my screen right now. Can you see it?
I'm just seeing your Firefox. Is anybody else, if you can put in the chat, if anybody else is seeing the, oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. Now we see the presentation. All right, go ahead.
Okay, super. So
All right. All right, apologies to all who are on that we're having technical difficulties here. And Mario, we're not able to hear you at all right now for some reason. If you could try to talk a little bit. Okay. Apparently, Mario, it's showing that you're offline, so there might be some technical difficulties in terms of access to the internet. And I saw that you asked the question, how is happiness profitable? So we'll have time for question and answer here in a little bit. But pardon the technical difficulties. Are you back, Mario? No. Okay. So apologies to everybody for this. I'll just sort of fill in a little bit while we're waiting for Mario in terms of the work that he's doing is having some pretty profound differences. He's getting officials from all over the world, political officials calling him up and asking him to come in and talk about happiness. You can go to his project, the Happy Post Project. It's happypost.org, and you can learn more about this. Mario comes in with a crew, or he can help you to do your own Happy Post project in your area. And so we'll actually be working with him in Seattle, and trying to text here and write at the same time to get to Mario. But we'll be doing a Happy Post project here in Seattle, and as part of that, we want to let people know about how they can do their own Happy Post project with our project, Sustainable Happiness Week, which if you go to our website, happycounts.org, you can go to the Celebrate section and see about Sustainable Happiness Week when Mario will be coming to Seattle, and we'll be doing this work for the Seattle City Council. So we're still waiting for Mario. Mario, can you hear me? All right, so apologies for this. I'm just going to try to fix this. Okay. All right. Mario, I'm thinking that it might be good if you left the meeting and then rejoined. So I'm going to put the screen back to my screen, and then if you could leave the meeting and then rejoin, that would be great. So, and apologies to everybody again. I'm going to go ahead and text them. Okay. All right. So, Anne, you asked a question about how is happiness profitable? And from my understanding, what you'll find is that it's where you can give talks and also where you can work with companies. And more companies are starting to be interested in happiness. As a matter of fact, if you go to TED Talks, you'll find quite a bit of interesting material. If you just put happiness, particularly from Chip Conley, he's got a great TED Talk on there about what he did with his hotel chain that he's no longer CEO of. So that's a little bit about how to make happiness profitable. Those of us in the social change for profit, for cause, social change for cause, otherwise known as nonprofit world, know that this is a very, very tough environment to try to raise funds in. And more of this kind of work is going into sort of social entrepreneurs / nonprofits. So Mario will be changing his project from the Happy Post project to make it Happy Foundation, but you can see more about the Happy Post project at myhappypost.com, where you can learn about the project. If you'll see here on About, it'll show you information about how to how you can do something like this yourself. So just as Mario said, just getting Post-its and asking people what makes them happy can be a great way, something that you can do to add to an event or to a talk or something that you're doing, and then gathering those Post-its. So the way that he does it, and I had the privilege of doing some of this work with him, is, as he mentioned, he goes out into the community, just asks people what makes them happy, and he isn't afraid to engage people, which is, depending on your community, that can be scary or not scary. Puts the Post-its on boards that are beautifully displayed, so they're sort of designs, and then that helps to attract attention. And then photographs people and videotapes people. He's got a film crew, and they create a video, a really sweet video. And then from there, they'll do a TEDx talk and TEDx style talk. So Mario, you're back. Is that you?
I'm back.
Okay.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, great. We're getting a lot of feedback.
Sorry.
So, are you still in the conference room? If you could.
Yeah, I'm in the
Okay.
conference.
Because it's quite loud. So if there's a way to close the doors or something like that, I'm going to put you back into the presenter mode, and we'll go ahead and try again. All
Okay.
right.
Can you hear?
It's a little hard because there's a lot of feedback and when there's a lot of background noise, and that creates feedback. So we'll see what we can do here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
They're like
okay. Um,
okay.
do you have your headset in?
Yes.
Okay. It's still picking up a lot of feedback. So let's just see if we can how far we can go with this. Um, and I made you the presenter, so we're waiting for your presentation again. And we had the question of how is happiness profitable? So if you could answer that question, that would be great.
Absolutely. So happiness has been profitable in from our end. Uh, During 2012, we devoted into credit initiatives. But on the same time, during the same time, we start getting requests from companies to first give speaking engagements, to secondly to give workshops, and to third give them advice. So um, from that we start connecting with them during our different initiatives. For instance, I spoken and thanks to my talk and TED, I got approached by 5 companies. Those 5 companies start requesting our speaking engagement services. So we start giving talks for corporations about happiness and like their different problems that they have. So we identified their problem, and secondly, we create a talk regarding to that problem, and third, we deliver that talk. Then in workshops, we have been developing some workshops for the same companies that basically they really liked our talk and they wanted to expand their knowledge in that. And lastly, we started helping brands such as Univision to create campaigns around happiness. For instance, our latest campaign with Univision was to work on financial literacy. So they wanted to make content for financial literacy more friendly by including the happiness topic. So we start seeing like the different relationships between if you have like tools to create to measure money in a better way, and also that how can that spark your levels of happiness. Uh, that was our consulting side for it. So basically, I mean, in a nutshell, by using our different spaces to create and amplify our network and to create happiness as a service for companies and governments.
Thank you, Mario. Okay, so we can see your presentation. If you want to go ahead and finish your presentation, that'd be great.
Okay, so here I was describing a little bit the part about how the Make It Happy is conformed right now. The first one, as I was mentioning, is our most important part, which is our social innovators, which is our grassroots movement, uh, in 30 countries that they have been affecting their own communities in a positive way. Then we have the different initiatives. So we have a kind of a laboratory where we sit and we start creating initiatives about how can we create awareness about happiness in people. So from here we have developed things such as a book that we're about to launch. We have developed the Happy Post. We have developed other blogs such as Tourist Attitude, such as Nap for Change, and such as a project about how reducing violence with happiness. Um, and lastly, like the profitable component was I was mentioning before is the event side. So we start giving consulting for companies about how to create events about happiness, and lastly, in the corporate side to give speaking engagement, workshops, and consulting. So here's a little bit about our financial model. It's a very rough draw. So we are creating a hybrid model where you combine a for-profit with a non-for-profit. Right now, we started with the with the application for the non-for-profit, but at the same time, I think we're gonna go. Honestly, we're gonna go to the for-profit side first in order to leverage these two worlds, because at the end and the beginning as well, this is a social cause. So this is how we conceive our financial model. From the for-profit side, we have the corporate side, we have licensee events, and we have different happy creators, which is our grassroots movement, and our different initiatives and grants and donations. And yes, that's how can actually that's what we do. That's what we do from the make it happen foundation.
Great. Thank you, Mario. So this is where we can open it up to some questions. And again, to ask a question, you can raise your hand on your control panel, or you can put the question into the question section there on your control panel. So, Mario, while we're waiting for a question, would you let us know a little bit about the last project that you just did and what you were doing in Colombia?
Sure. The our project, Laura. You mean our project?
What you were just in Colombia. Just let us know a little bit about the work that you were doing in Colombia, what you just did there.
Oh, okay. So in Colombia, we had a very nice support from like the government side and from companies as well. So right now, I was meeting with a company who have 4,000 employees, and they have a clear problem because and the community that is surrounding them.
Let's see if we can get the sound back again. The sound is left again, Mario. So, not sure. All right. So, apologies again for the technical difficulties in Mario. Unfortunately, we've got the sound is left again. So, I guess if you could leave and then rejoin one more time, we'll see if we can do some questions. But in the meantime, I want to let you know again about. I'm going to go ahead and change
I
present.
think I'm back.
You're back. Okay, we got lots of feedback, but you are back. I'll mute myself, so if you go ahead, maybe that'll help it. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so right now in Colombia, okay. Right now in Colombia, I'm working in two projects. One is if you guys know, in Colombia, there's this big problem about guerrillas and paramilitary forces. So we're working with the government on developing reintegrate. The largest problem is that they have this big stigma about being.
Oh, Mario, this is so interesting, and the sound keeps cutting out, and we can't hear you. So you were saying that they have a problem with guerrillas and military force, and their largest stigma, and we didn't catch from stigma on. You still there?
Oh, okay. Their biggest problem is these people have been part of the guerrilla since they were 8 years old to they were 22 years old. So if you can imagine, it has these people that are not adapted to civil society at all. So they go to this process of 6.5 years of reinsertion into civil society.
Okay. We're still having technical difficulties, Mario. I'm not sure what it is. And you're offline again. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and try to rejoin, we'll give it one more try. But what I'd like to do, because these answers are really interesting, Mario, is we'll continue this discussion on Basecamp if we can't continue it today now. And if anybody who's on this call is not on Basecamp, you can just email me at laura@happycounts.org, and and I'm putting it in the chat right now. And I'll give you an invitation to Basecamp, and you'll also get a recording of this call as well as a recording of all other calls are online. So Mario, are you still with us? Are we still able to hear you?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Okay, let's give it one more try because it's just the sound quality is pretty bad. But go ahead with the project that you're working with, um, helping the gorillas who were from 8 to 25 or 22, and are you helping them with a social integration?
Yes, we are helping them with social integration through dynamics about happiness. So we're working directly with the government agency who has 5,000 people that have been reintegrated into civil society. And we want to show that they are normal people into civil society because the big problem that they have is nobody wants to hire them because of their past. And also, there's a big fear from society about having them around. So we are currently developing a campaign with this agency of the government to use happiness to show that we are the same and to basically communicate in a better way to the private sector about the potential that all these people have.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And then, so Mario, would you explain a little bit how do you make connections with people in the government? What is is it personal friends or, um, how do you make that connection? Because it seems like the support from the government is so beneficial to the work that you're doing.
It is two ends. The first one is personal friends, but honestly, um, through the different initiatives that we have been creating, there has been a lot of buzz around the media, and that also catch the attention from the government. From our side, it was very beneficial to have the support from the president of Colombia, who also hear about us through social media, actually. So, but at the end, I mean, Colombia, it's well, I mean, it's kind of like a big country. We have 45 million people, but I was lucky enough also like to meet different people in government and private sector that definitely that have things to be smooth and easier. But at the same time, right now we are also communicating with the government of Palestine and also with the government in Saudi Arabia, and it seems like there's a lot of demand from uh, happiness and from like all these initiatives right now that happiness is such a such a popular topic. People pay attention, and from my end, I've been gladly impressed about like the warm reception from the private sector and the government as well. Everywhere we go, we tell our story, and people definitely they open their doors.
Great. And then I have a last question, and if anybody else has questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box or raise your hand. The equation that you have of action equals principles and beliefs, where did that come from?
Just from one conversation with a friend.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, um, Mario, did you have anything that you wanted to add to end? Anything else?
I want to add, yes, I think like different organizations from happiness are doing such a beautiful work. From our end, our goal is to spark actions. We want to really encourage people to take actions and to, for instance, we really want to empower social entrepreneurs. We are using happiness mostly into the social entrepreneurial arena. But it's very key the collaboration. Um, I mean, without the happiness counts, the happiness initiative, we wouldn't be able to talk today. And not only that, but uh, some opportunities comes up, and it's very important for me. We were able and very lucky to have Laura with us in Colombia, and this was such a different and beautiful approach from like the most technicality in academia that reinforced a lot of our message. So it's very important to collaborate and to leverage into our main assets. Our assets mostly is initiatives, crazy initiatives in the city, but but it's definitely collaboration is the key. But that's what we have been learning, and and thank you, Laura. I mean, just thank you.
That's, thank you,
That's
Mario.
the only thing that I really want to add.
Great. Thank you so much, Mario. So, if you could send us send me the presentation, we'll put it up on Basecamp, and there'll be a recording of this talk on Basecamp, as are recordings of other talks. The talks range from scientific to philosophical to action-based. So we have some wonderful talks that are online from, as I mentioned, scientists, people in government, activists, philosophers. We will continue these, so if somebody would like to give a talk or has an idea of somebody who'd like to give a talk, please send it to laura@happycounts.org. If you'd like to be involved in the twice a week calls, Nancy, I see you're online and you've been in those calls. Please go ahead and shoot me an email, and we'll get you hooked up on Basecamp so that you can get information about how to be a part of that networking and grassroots activism. So Mario, thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to working with you in April for Sustainable Happiness Week, which starts on Pursuit of Happiness Day, Thomas Jefferson's birthday, and ends on Earth Day. And our next talk will be on the, as declared by the United Nations, International Happiness Day. And so with that, I'm wishing everybody the most wonderful Valentine's Day, and with all of us having the knowledge, as I'm sure we all do, that the best love is the love and compassion and joy for the self. So sending you an all and a big huge heart and a big huge I love you for Valentine's Day. Thank you and goodbye. And I'll unmute people here now so they can say goodbye as well. So goodbye. Thank you. Bye bye. So, happy Valentine's Day.
Bye, Laura. Thank you
Bye
so much.
bye.
Bye.